Just answering some questions on melodic minor, how to get started with that. My other camera has overheated, so I'm going to be doing this one old school on the iPhone, so hope you don't mind. Today, I'm just running through my Quilter Aviator Cub and just plug straight in. So no reverb, no nothing, nice and easy. So this is for those of you who want to get into melodic minor. And a melodic minor scale is just a major scale with a flatted third. So if you have handy your major scale diagram that I've posted, you'll have this pattern of the C major scale. So this is pattern 1 of the C major scale, all right? And so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of those E naturals and make them E flats. So C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat. All right? And so if you're a visual learner, you might want to take some fretboard paper and just write out the scale. So just go slow so you can see it. C, D, E flat. F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat. And then once you can visualize that pattern, then what you would do is you would just play it. I just do a couple strings at a time. Get that sound kind of in your ear. Okay, now one thing we're going to take a look at as we go through each one of these patterns is the harmony, okay? So normally with a C major, we're going to have a C major 7 chord. And that's based off the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of our scale. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, okay? In this case, we have an E flat, so that's going to be a minor triad with a major 7th on top. And you'll have to excuse me, I'll probably end up sneezing or coughing throughout this video. I got a little bit of a summer cold here. So this is Corey unfiltered and raw. Okay, so this is the way I would voice this on the A string. You'll remember our C major 7 chord looking like this. Right, so I have C, G, B, and E. I drop that E to an E flat, and then I get a C minor major 7. It's a C minor because I have C, E flat, and G, but I still have the major 7th. Because remember, in our scale, the only thing that has changed is our 3rd, okay? And I just want to kind of jump off just a little bit here. If you've learned any classical music theory, often what they're going to do is they're going to give you a key signature of 3 flats. They're going to show you C natural minor, which is going to be our tones C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and then they're going to tell you to raise the 6th and 7th scale degrees. So we have a couple steps to getting melodic minor if you do it this way. You have to know the E flat major scale, know the key signature of 3 flats. Then you need to know the parallel or relative minor, which is C Aeolian. Then you have to take that, and then you have to raise the 6th and raise the 7th. I see that as way too many steps when you can just take a major scale and flat the 3rd, okay? And this is how jazz musicians look at it. We kind of we flat the 3rd. We don't deal with the rest of the other stuff. We want less steps because if we're doing this in the middle of an improvisation, we want less things to think about, okay? All right, so our first chord in melodic minor is C minor major 7, and we've completed that first pattern. Okay, so now we're going to go to our second pattern of the C major scale, which is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And we're going to take that and we're going to lower all of the E naturals to E flats. D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F. And we get this. Okay? Now, the second chord of a melodic minor scale is going to be D minor 7. Now you might ask yourself, why would it be exactly the same as C major? It's a different mode, a different scale, and other stuff. But let's take a look at what happened here. Remember, all we did was take our E natural and make it an E flat. What's a D minor 7 chord? It's D, F, A, and C. You'll notice I didn't say anything about an E in that. It's D, F, A, and C. There is no E in that chord, therefore nothing is changed. So the second chord in the melodic minor system is going to be D minor 7, or minor 7. Of course, like we talk about everything else, it's any minor 7th that I can get my hands on. Is all going to be D minor 7. It's just wherever I can find D, F, A, and C. Now, the mode does change, though. The second mode of a C major scale is going to be D Dorian. But the second mode of a C melodic minor scale is going to be Dorian flat 2, or Dorian flat 9. Remember, we call our 2s 9s, we call our 4s 11s, and we call our 6s 13s, okay? So we would have 1, flat 9, flat 3, 11, 5, 6, natural 6 or 13, flat 7, 1, flat 9, you know, moving up through the scale, right? Now, I will say that if you are getting used to improvising in melodic minor, this is one of those things that's going to help you out. The second scale degree has a minor pentatonic built off of it. So if I want to play C minor major 7, I can still go up a D minor 7 arpeggio or a D minor 7th minor pentatonic, because there's no E in any of those things, so I can still use it. That's an interesting way for you to kind of get yourself started with melodic minor, knowing something already. So if someone said, hey, I need you to play G melodic minor, you could find G, go up a whole step, and just play A minor pentatonic. It actually works, okay? So it's just something that you can kind of do. Do you get all the tones? Of course not. Pentatonics are 5 of the 7 tones, but at least you will have correct pitches, and that's where we want to start, okay? So we can call our second mode Dorian flat 9 because it looks just like a Dorian with a flat 9. Now some people are also going to call this Phrygian natural 6 because a Phrygian mode is 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. So if I had 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, it's still technically Phrygian with a natural 6. Once you get into melodic minor, you start having multiple names for things, so that's okay. All right, it's kind of like Phrygian Dominant and Mixed Lydian flat 9, flat 13 from the harmonic minor system are both the exact same scale. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is going to be starting on E flat. We're not starting on E for this one because remember, we changed the E natural to an E. So pattern 3 of the C major scale, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. That scale, E Phrygian, okay, needs to have all the E's lowered. So E flat, F, G, A, B, C, then we go D, and then I have to go E flat, okay? So it's a little bit different. E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, and G. So okay, so what happens to our chord when we do this? Well, when we are playing in the C major scale, we have the third chord built off of E, G, B, and D. That's the first flat third, fifth, and flat seventh of that. Or just every other tone in the key of C starting on E, G, B, and D. So now we have E flat, G, B, and D. Okay, so something interesting happens here. And I'm going to play this voicing here. So we had a E minor 7, which is something you probably all can play. And if I take this voicing and I lower the root, so E becomes E flat. These all stay the same, but E becomes E flat, okay? Okay. The distances between these notes get greater, they increase. So whereas we had the distance between the E and the G was a flatted third, now it's a major third, so we know it's some type of major chord, okay? Now, E to B is a perfect fifth, so if I increase that distance, we get a sharp 5. So we have a major third and a sharp 5, which implies augmented, right? 1, 3, sharp 5, Okay, we're onto something here. And then we had a flat 7 from E to D, but now it's E flat to D. So now it's a major 7. So the result of lowering one tone is E flat, major 7, sharp 5. Or you could call it E augmented, add 7, something like that. But in jazz, we're typically going to call this major 7, sharp 5, okay? Because E flat is the root. We all know that if we've practiced our major scales, that our G is our major third of E flat, okay? That checks out, cool. We know that D is the 7th tone of a E flat major scale, so that's a 7th. And then we know that B flat is the perfect 5th, but we don't have a perfect 5th here. We have B natural, increasing the distance, which gives us E augmented with a major 7, and I like to call that E major 7 sharp 5, okay? So the first chord in our key is E minor major 7, the second chord is D minor 7, and the third chord is going to be E major 7 sharp 5, okay? And then our modes would be melodic minor, Dorian flat 9, and Lydian augmented. Okay, so if I play the tones of that E flat pattern, I would get 1, 2, 3, and then watch what happens. Sharp 4, that's the Lydian part. Sharp 5, that's the augmented part. Then we have a natural 6, major 7, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, sharp 5, natural 6, major 7, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, sharp 5, natural 6, okay? Kind of cool, huh? It's a very interesting vibe. And anyway, so now for the fingerings for these things, we're going to be using the same basic types of fingerings that we've been using before. One finger per fret, where the first finger kind of goes to the left. A lot of you who have gone through the major scale patterns have come back to me and said, now that I can play them all, it makes sense why you have the fingerings the way that you do, because they actually all adhere to the same exact structure, the exact same rule set. Like if we did like, you know, F Lydian, right? So I have, you know, everything from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all in the same, but the only thing that changes is that first finger. So it's basically like if I had a scale that went fret-wise, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I have a note on the first fret, I would go 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5. So following that logic, the F Lydian mode, or C major from F, would be played this way. So whatever note I need on those, you'll notice that my fingers are adhering to the pattern. If anything is on the 2nd fret, I play it with the first finger. If anything is on the 3rd fret, I play it with the middle finger. If anything's on the 4th fret, I play it with the ring finger. If anything's on the 5th fret, I play that with the pinky. And then if anything needs to be moved to the 1st fret, so the F itself, there's a stretch. And the reason we do this is the anatomy of the hand, okay? There's not as much of a stretch between the pinky and the ring finger as there is between the 1st and the 2nd. Furthermore, if you've ever knocked your elbow, you know you hit your funny bone and you feel like tingling in your pinky and your ring finger, that's your ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve controls both the pinky and the ring finger. So we don't want to stress out that relationship. A lot of times people that play where they do patterns like this, like first finger, ring finger, pinky, they often feel like a little bit of tension back here, and they might get a little bit of, I don't know, just a little bit of pain there, okay? We don't want to do that. Another thing that I think is kind of interesting, sometimes when I show students that 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern, you know, like just a picking exercise, they're like, I can't reach that 4th fret. Well, okay, so if I line up at the 1st fret, yeah, getting to the 4th fret is a stretch, but watch this. If I relax my pinky at the 4th fret, I can touch the tuner. It's like a mind trick. It's like, how is that possible? Well, it's because the reach of the 1st and the 2nd finger are far greater than the reach between the pinky and the ring finger. So I want to just keep this in mind. For a lot of you guys, what I highly recommend doing, especially as we're working through these patterns, is going to be write them out. right? You've gone through note recognition, you know where all your E flats are on the neck, so you should be able to play a C major scale and find the E flats. It does take a little bit extra time, but I think what happens is you become cognizant of what notes are available in the pattern rather than looking at a diagram and just memorizing how it looks. You're actually aware of the pitches, and you're aware of the interval relationships, which is going to help you memorize things faster, which is going to help you to, just get a handle on the melodic minor thing a lot easier, okay? So we were just talking about pattern 3, now we're moving to pattern 4. Like I just said, if we follow pattern 4 of the C major scale, C, D, F, G, A, B, we're starting on F. Now we're just going to alter our F Lydian pattern to have E flats in it. So I'm going to go F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, okay? And again, when you're practicing these, maybe I'll go up to that new note. Start messing around with the notes just a little bit. All right, so what's the harmony on the 4th chord? Well, normally we have an F major 7 chord. Now remember, it doesn't matter where I play this thing. It's just, they're all F major 7s, right? Okay, so I'm just using the one up here because I think that's the easiest one to visualize. I have 1, 5, 7, and 3. So I need to figure out which one of those tones is an E. Well, that would be the 7th. Now I need to lower that. So I have E flat, right? So I have F, A, C, E flat. What is that? It is an F dominant 7. Okay, so, but the Lydian thing from our original Lydian mode still holds true because we still have a B in there, okay? So we have a dominant scale, which is what a dominant 7th chord is, right? A Mixolydian scale with a sharp 11. So what would we call a Mixolydian scale with a sharp 11? We would call that Lydian Dominant. And we're going to put that in the chord. So I'm actually lowering the C to B, giving me that sharp 11. Okay, now I could do it down here as well. I'm just going to use the open B string to give me that flavor. Okay, now some of you may ask, is that kind of like the blues scale because the sharp 11 and the flat 5 are the same tone? No, because we have a 5. Remember, this isn't a flat 5 because we have a 5. You can't have 2 of the same thing, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, natural 5, flats, or excuse me, natural 6 or 13, and flat 7. 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, flat 7. Okay? And so we call that Lydian Dominant. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next one. We have our C major scales starting on G, which is going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And we're going to take that and we're going to take the E natural that's found in that pattern and we're going to lower it to E flat. So G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D. And then we're going to have our E flat there on the first finger, F, G, A, and B. Going along with the same logic of the harmony, what do we normally have over this chord? It's a G7, G, B, D, F, right? Okay, so it is some sort of G7 chord because there's no E's in a G7, G, B, D, and F, so nothing changes. But what does change is the tensions that we can have available. We ask ourselves, what's that E flat doing? Well, the E is normally a G13. So now we have a G flat 13. Well, isn't that the same as sharp 5? Again, just like the rule of the Lydian Dominant, no, it's not, because we have a D natural. We're not going to call this D sharp. We're going to call it E flat. See, that should make sense why we call certain things sharps and flats sometimes. I often get that question from beginners. Why sometimes do we call it a sharp and sometimes do we call it a flat? Well, we call it E flat in this instance because we want to differentiate between the D sharp, which would be confusing having 2/5, a 5 and a sharp 5. We have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, and 1, 7. And so it just makes sense that we're going to call this flat 13. Okay? Now, the whole tone scale, which is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, sharp 5, and then we have a 6 and a flat 7. The whole tone scale, sorry, a little bit, I usually play it this way. So now the whole tone scale just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tones. 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, sharp 5, flat 7, and 1. Sorry, I think I said 6. There's no 6 in there. We do call it sharp 5 because there's no flat 5, there's no natural 5, there's just one type of 5, okay? All right, so what do we call this nonsense? Well, we're going to call this Lydian flat 13. Now, I have to say it is not my favorite mode. I cannot actually tell you one time when I've used this on purpose on a gig. Like, you know what that chord really needs? No, it's usually if I want some sort of altered sound, I'm going to use half full diminished, or I'm going to use the altered scale. I'm not going to use this nonsense. It just doesn't sound good to me. I'm sure there's some situation where it sounds really good. Now, reminder, that doesn't mean I don't play this pattern, right? Just because I don't play G Lydian flat 13 as a mode, I mean I don't play C melodic minor patterns over a G7 chord. I do use this pattern frequently when I'm improvising, okay? Right? I do use that pattern frequently when I'm improvising, because remember, the name of the pattern is not the mode, right? So if I have a C minor major 7 chord being played, if I play the G mixo flat 13 pattern, I'm still just playing C melodic minor, because it's the chord that we get the name of the mode of, right? So I can go... I played 4 or 5 different patterns of C melodic minor, but they're all the same mode if the same chord is being played. I have to kind of drive that home because it's super important. Okay, so let's move on to the 6th mode. I would be playing an A Aeolian, or C major from A, right? So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We're just going to follow the same rules as we've been using. A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, and C. So the chord here is going to be A, C, E flat, and G. And so you guys will notice that is a minor 7 flat 5, also known as half diminished. There's lots of places you can play this, just like any other chord, right? It's just A, C, E flat, and G. Okay, so what would our mode be? Locrian? That's what a minor 7 flat 5 typically is, right? Well, a Locrian what? Look what happens here. We have A, B, and C. Doesn't Locrian have a flat 2, right? From diatonic major harmony, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. This has a natural 2. So let's see what else we have with the intervals. 1, natural 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. Okay, so we're going to call this mode Locrian natural 2. Okay, and that's just what that's called. So Locrian natural 2. It's a slightly brighter way to play over a minor 7 flat 5 chord, and yeah, it sounds good in some cases. To simplify things, I'm almost always going to be playing Locrian natural 6 when I see a minor 7 flat 5 chord. That's the 2 chord of harmonic minor. Not the topic of this video, but that's what we're going to use for that. Okay, we have one left, the spiciest one, my favorite one, the altered scale. So starting on B, in a B or in a C major scale, we have B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Okay, so here we're gonna have B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat. Okay, now this does a whole bunch of things to the scale, so we're gonna slow this one down a little bit. Let's just go through the pattern: B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, if E flat if you want to grab that on top, okay? Okay, so what's happening here? Well, we have B, which is a root. What mode is this, right? We have a flat 9 and a sharp 9, okay? So the rule typically is with altered tones, you can have a 9 and no flat 9, sharp 9, or you can have a flat 9 and a sharp 9 available, because they're a whole step apart, so they're not messing up anything, okay? So 1, flat 9, sharp 9, E flat. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's happening here? Okay. This is going to be in harmonically D sharp. So this is going to be a major 3rd. If I play that interval, no matter what happens, It's going to sound like a major third. So it's a major third. So isn't a sharp 9 the same as a flat third? So wait, Corey, you just said you can't have two fives. You can't have a sharp 5 and a flat 5 and a major 5 or whatever, a perfect fifth. But now you're saying we can have a flat 3 and a major third? No. For thirds, hear me out here. If you have a flatted third and a major third in the same chord, the major third is the stronger, more dominant sound, and it takes precedence over both of them. So in this case, it is a major third, and then the flat third would be defaulted to a sharp 9, just like the Hendrix chord. Okay? So we have 1 flat 9, sharp 9, major third, the tritone, and I call this tritone instead of flat 5 and sharp 11 because it's like, what do you want to call it? We don't have a normal 4 here, so it could be called a sharp 4. We don't have a normal 5 either, so it could be called a flat 5. And so to cover both bases, I call that a tritone. Then we have flat 13, which is the G tone, and then we have a flatted 7. So our scale is as follows. 1, flat 9, sharp 9, major third, tritone, flat 6, flat 7. Okay? And that is called the altered scale. Now, for those of you whose head's swimming right now and you're trying to think of all these things at once, yeah, melodic minor is kind of a more complicated thing. All of this is happening because we changed one note in a C major scale. Just think about that. That boggled my mind when I heard it for the first time. You change one note and all of this happens? That's insane. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. All right, so if you're having trouble memorizing this, all you have to do is think of it this way. You know, just memorize it like a phone number, right? So it's just 1, flat 9, sharp 9, major third, tritone, flat 13, flat 7. 1 flat 9, sharp 9, major third, tritone, flat 13, flat 7. Just say it over and over again until it makes sense. So what's the chord? The chord is going to be a B altered. Now the way that I'm playing it here, I'm kind of grabbing the root down there, the flatted 7th with my first finger, and then I'm barring with my ring finger on the 8th fret. And this is going to give me 1, flat 7, major third, flat 13, and flat 9. And I can reach up to the sharp 9 if I want it. Okay, so, excuse me, so that's just kind of what it is. Now, whenever you're looking at a real book tune or a jazz chart or a big band chart or a blues tune, and you see the chord altered, that's what's happening, okay? So for those of you who are like, I'm just a blues guy, leave me alone, this is all too crazy, you do this all the time. So if I do... that right there, that is a G7 altered chord. When I was a kid playing blues, I used to just think that that was just a C sharp 9 going to a C9 because it's a half step above. So what it really is it is a tritone substitution. It's a D flat dominant 7 sharp 11, or you can think of it as a G altered chord. So if you listen to Robin Ford, Larry Carlton, a lot of those types of guys, you're going to notice that they're using that altered scale in that situation. Now in that situation, I used to use the altered scale there. Now I kind of have more of a, I don't know, just a likeness for the half-whole diminished scale. I kind of go back and forth. I think that's the reason is because I'm liking to use the parallel diminished triads and arpeggios right now, and it's just kind of a thing I'm going through right now. So, but it doesn't mean that I won't switch my way back tomorrow. So anyway, okay, so let's recap. We have our patterns of the C melodic minor, and I think it's a really good idea for you to learn these as the mode, the chord, and the pattern together, so that you can easily memorize these things, okay? And just gonna play them through the exact same way that you would have done everything for major, right? So that way you can, you know, it's just easier to memorize that way. Okay, so those are those 7 patterns, and then our chords would be C minor major 7, D minor 7, E flat major 7 sharp 5, F7 sharp 4, G7 flat 13, A minor 7 flat 5, B altered, notice those two sound very similar, and then back to our C minor major 7, okay? Now you'll notice that a lot of these kind of sound like synonyms of each other, right? And it is true, because you have a minor 7 flat 5, so A minor 7 flat 5 is just an F9 chord in first inversion, right? And so if you have a half diminished chord in a key, it's really just based off the third of a dominant chord. Okay, that's a lot, right? So how to practice this? The same way as major. You can take, you know, if you've seen my practicing chart, I have 12 days of major, right? So you do that cycle 4, C major, F major, B flat major, E flat major. And then after those 12 days, you would go into 12 days of harmonic minor. And then you could go into, melodic minor. And then you could go into 12 days of harmonic minor. Other students have found it beneficial to spend 3 days on one root. So you could do Monday is C major, Tuesday is C melodic minor, Wednesday is C harmonic minor, Thursday is F major, Friday is F melodic minor, Saturday is F harmonic minor, something like that. Just put on a pad for a C minor chord in the background and start experimenting with this. Just changing one note changes so much about the harmony. It gives you a whole new palette of sounds to work with. It's just really rewarding. So, like I mentioned before, when I was at Berklee College of Music, your first semester is focused on major and the modes of that. Second semester is the melodic minor system. Third semester is harmonic minor. Fourth is harmonic major. And then you get into diminished and some other wacky stuff after that. So, all right, long video. Apologies for the lower production quality today. I have to figure out what's going on with my camera. But I hope you got something out of this. Highly recommend writing out these patterns on your own. I mean, I could put up a PDF of some of these patterns, and I'm sure that would be helpful to some of you. And maybe I will still do that, but I highly recommend at least trying this first and writing it out yourself. When I was at school, we didn't get anything written out. We got no tab. Then we're going to write out all of our melodic minor scales in standard notation. We got no chord diagrams. We didn't get any of that stuff. They're like, well, if you know how to make a C major scale, you should be able to change one note and memorize that pattern. So it's like, fair enough. But anyway, go ahead and post below how you guys are doing with this or any questions you may have about melodic minor. And it's not just used for jazz too, like Mercury Blues by Alan Jackson, country tune, a big hit in the 1990s. Brett Mason, the studio guitar player on that tune, halfway through the solo, he plays a, I think it's a B melodic minor scale arpeggio to come up with some sort of like really slinky, nice little lick. So yeah, melodic minor, it's not just for jazz. You can use it for blues, like I mentioned with that tritone sub on the G altered. You can use it in country music. So it's totally worthwhile to learn. And the last thing I'll say for today is my major scale knowledge and thinking about all the different modes and chords and the harmony in major scale system was tightened up by melodic minor. Because a lot of people are like, I want to master major and then I will go into melodic minor. Here's the thing. If you get major to a point where it's good enough and then you start learning melodic minor, you will actually get the benefit that you were looking for in the mastery of the major scale. So if someone spent 2 months on major and then the 3rd and 4th month on melodic minor, they will enter their 5th month knowing major far better than the student that practiced 4 months of major. I guarantee it. So why don't you try it? And thanks again to all my patrons on Patreon and for joining me here. Really enjoy hearing from you guys. I hope this is helpful. I hope this gives you guys something to look forward to. And as always, just post any comments or questions you have below, and I will see you next time. All right, peace.